Shabbat shalom, everybody.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom, everybody. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
So with today's lesson, we are going to continue from a lesson we started about 5 Shabbats ago. And we were dealing with covenants. And for about 3, 4, maybe 5 minutes, we're going to kind of do like a review of what we went over in the previous lesson. So when dealing with the covenant, there are 8 covenants in the Hebrew scripture. Now, those covenants are, we have the Edenic covenant, we have the Adamic covenant, we have the Noahic covenant, and the Abraham covenants. So we have the Edenic covenant, we have the Adamic covenant, Noahic covenant, and Abrahamic covenant. So when we begin to look at these covenants, there are some things that we pointed out. And one of the first things we pointed out was covenants are either what? Conditional or what? Unconditional. So we see covenants are conditional or unconditional. And we also pointed out that covenants could be bilateral, which means 2 parties or more, or 2 parties, or it could be unilateral. So covenants could be bilateral or unilateral. Now, when it came to the covenant of Yashra'al, that covenant was what kind of covenant? Was it bilateral?
Bilateral condition.
Huh?
Bilateral and condition.
Good. Bilateral and conditional. Now, when it came to the Abrahamic covenant, what was it?
Unconditional,
Unconditional,
unilateral.
unilateral. Very important. Now, can anyone explain to me the Abrahamic covenant? What took place?
So this is when the Most High cuts covenant with Abraham.
The Most High cuts covenant with Abraham?
Right, and it's a perpetual, everlasting covenant because he put Abraham to sleep.
It's a perpetual, everlasting covenant. He put Abraham to sleep.
And he walked Abraham's part on Israel's behalf.
And he walked what? Abraham's part
On Israel's behalf.
on Israel's behalf. So, who was the one walking the covenant? Mashiyach. So, when we use the term, and you hear the phrase cut covenant, what's actually taking place there? What's being cut? It was 2 pieces of meat. So where would this meat have come from? Of course it would have come from the flock or what have you. It's meat cut. So in order to cut meat, what would have had to have taken place? A death. Very important. A death. Now he cuts covenant with Abraham. He puts Abraham to sleep. So automatically this covenant now becomes a unilateral covenant. And it's unconditional on Abraham's part. Because Mashiyach Yahusha is the actual one walking this covenant. So what I need for everyone to understand is, whenever we see the phrase cut covenant, the first thing you should always think of is a death was required. A death was required. So, when it comes to the nation of Yashra'al, look at the role of Mashiyach, he is the party or the individual in whom walk the covenant. What you see taking place with Mashiyach cutting covenant with Abraham, he's establishing something then for the future and on behalf of the nation of Yashra'al. This is why he walked the covenant alone. This is why he cut covenant with Abraham, because there are promises at this time through this covenant that Abraham was going to have what? What was going to happen with Abraham? He was going to be what? The father of many nations. He was going to have what? His seed will be what? Great in the earth. But out of his seed will come what? Yashra'al. So this is Mashiyach. It's very important for y'all to understand. Mashiyach Yahusha was here all the time. You see him come in the actual physical form for the redemption of the nation of Yashra'al, for the shedding of blood. He had to bring on, take on flesh. But he was here all the time. It was Yahusha who walked the covenant with Abraham on behalf of the nation of Yashra'al, because he would be the one later on what? Who would have to die on behalf of the nation. A death is required. This is why he walked, because his life would be required for the redemption of his people. So one thing we found out about covenants, and I like what Moshe said. He said the covenant was perpetual and everlasting. Is there such thing as an eternal covenant?
Yeah, isn't that the covenant he made with Abraham?
Is there such thing as a eternal covenant? Yes or no? Anybody? I mean, don't be scared. Of course, I'm going to give you the answer, so don't be scared.
I say yes, because eternal means forever.
Right.
And I mean, wouldn't that be the same as a perpetual covenant?
Not really.
Not really.
Okay, let's think about it. What's the difference between eternal and everlasting? The Most High is eternal.
Right. Okay, right.
Oh, no.
Huh? Thank you.
What's
Eternal means it doesn't have a beginning or an end.
Right.
Everlasting is something that's created.
Right.
It has a beginning, so a point where it was established.
So it'll be no.
It will be known. There's no
Right.
such thing as an eternal covenant. But there is an everlasting covenant.
Gotcha.
Okay. Enough with the trick question. But that was a trick question, but thank you, Cody. I'm going to have to encourage the women a little bit more. They're showing out on me all. Okay. When we looked at these covenants, we see that there was the Adamic covenant, and there were provisions within the Adamic covenant. And who were the participants in the Adamic covenant?
Adam and Mashiyach.
Okay. Adam, Mashiyach, Most High. What were the provisions of the covenant? Because remember, within that covenant, the Most High spoke to 3 people. And yes, I did say 3 people. And who were those 3 people that he spoke to in the garden?
Adam, Mashiyach, and Satan.
Okay then. Adam, Eve, and who? The serpent. I know you know there's a teaching out here that snakes used to have legs and they could walk at one time. But we know better than that. And that's why I was explaining to someone last night that when you read Bereshit or Genesis, when it comes to the garden story of Adam and Power, or as people know as Adam and Eve, that story uses a lot of metaphors, symbolism, and allegories. We know good and well they were not talking to a literal snake. We should know that anyway, but most people don't. Most people actually think that was a serpent in the garden, but it was not. We know that from when we go. Matter of fact, can somebody get Isaiah 14 for us?
Sure.
And
What verse?
let's start reading around the 10th verse, I believe. Because it's talking about the nation of Yashra'al when they come out of captivity and all. And then it goes into,
You said the 10th verse?
I'll tell you what. Let's start reading at the 6th verse. That's why it's good to read, because a lot of things you can just find out answers by reading. And a lot of things we've been commonly taught, you know, it just hasn't been necessarily right. We're going to ask our brother Boucher if he would to read for us.
Isaiah 14 and 6.
Read it aloud so then.
He who smote the people in wrath with a continual stroke, he that ruled the nations in anger is persecuted, and none hindered. The whole earth is at rest and is quiet. They break forth into singing. Yeah, the fir trees rejoice at thee. And the cedars of Lebanon, saying, since thou art laid down, no fellow has come up against us. Hell from beneath is moved for thee, to meet thee at thy coming. It stirreth up the dead for thee, even all the chief ones of the earth. It hath raised up from their thrones all the kings of the nations. And they shall speak and say unto thee, art thou also become as weak as we? Art thou become like unto us? Thy pomp is brought down to the grave, and the noise of thy vows, the worm is spread upon thee, or under thee, and the worms cover thee. How art thou fallen from Shemaim, O Lucifer?
How thou what?
Fallen from Shemaim, O Lucifer, son of the morning. How art thou cut down to the ground, which didst weaken the nations?
Which what?
Didst weaken the nations. For thou hast said in thine heart, I will ascend into Shemaim. I will exalt my throne above the stars of Elohim. I will sit also upon the mount of the congregation in the sides of the north. I will ascend above the heights of the clouds. I will be like the Most High. Yet thou shalt be brought down to hell, to the side of the pit. They that see thee shall narrowly look upon thee, and consider thee, saying,
Saying what?
is this the man?
Is this the who?
Is this the man that made the earth to tremble, that did shake kingdoms?
You can stop right there. He was a man, y'all. He just, when we read the scriptures, metaphorically speaking, he was a man with cunning ways as that of a serpent. He was very subtle. He was very cunning. This is what you get. He was a man. And so when you go look at that word man, you're going to get the Hebrew word ish from the Strong's 376. He was a man. And so we've been taught through religion and these religious institutions, they turn a lot of scripture into folklore and fables. But when we know we go back to our language, we have to understand everything Hebraically that You know, the Most High does not turn His book and allow it to turn into a book of myths and fable. And matter of fact, He told us to beware of that. And this is what happens. So they'll give you a depiction of something, and it gets ingrained into your thought and into your mind, and you grow up thinking these things. But even with reading that still goes back to the Adamic covenant, because you see something happen with Shaitan. There's a whole lot going in 14. Now, when he said, when we think about why was Shaitan expelled out of Shemayim or heaven in the first place?
Disobedience.
Disobedience said what? Sin was found in him. So, we often read in Revelation, I think it's the 12th chapter. Matter of fact, get that for me, y'all. Because we still on the lesson. It may not seem like it, but we are. Revelation 12. We're going to see what happened with Revelation 12 and Revelation 12, we're going to start at, we'll ask Rob Zakan, if you would, start reading at the first verse, and we'll go down to the, all the way through the 9th verse.
Revelation 12, verse 1. And there appeared a great wonder in Shemayim, a woman clothed with the sun and the moon under her feet, and upon her head a crown of 12 stars. And she, being with child, cried, travailing in birth, and pain to be delivered. And there appeared another wonder in heaven, and behold, a great red dragon, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and 7 crowns upon his heads. And his tail drew the 3rd part of the stars of heaven, and did cast them to the earth. And the dragon stood before the woman, which was ready to be delivered, for to devour her child as soon as it was born. And she brought forth a man-child, who was to rule all nations with a rod of iron. And her child was caught up unto Elohim and to his throne. And the woman fled into the wilderness, where she had a place prepared of Elohim, that they should feed her there 1,260 days. And there was a war in heaven. Michael and his angels fought against the dragon, and the dragon fought and his angels, and prevailed not. Neither was their place found any more in Shemayim. And the great dragon was cast out, that old serpent.
The great dragon was cast out, the old serpent
called the devil, and Shaitan, which deceiveth the whole world.
Stop right there. Which deceiveth the whole world. Now, what part about whole do we not understand? He said, which deceiveth the whole world. But when we go back to Thessalonians, didn't it say if it was possible? If it was possible, he'd deceive who? The very elect. The very elect. Who's the very elect?
Yashra'al.
Yashra'al, the awakened remnant of Yashra'al. He said, if it was possible, he would deceive the very elect. But we see here in Hebrew of Revelation, it said, the serpent, the dragon, sometimes called the devil, or he deceiveth the whole world. How does he deceive the whole world? Now go back to Isaiah 14. We'll go back to Isaiah 14, and we're going to look at something. Let's start at verse 12. Isaiah Isaiah 14, verse 12. Remember, Shaitan deceives the whole world.
Isaiah 14 and 12. How art thou fallen from Shemaim, O Lucifer,
How art thou fallen from Shemaim of heaven, O Lucifer,
son of the morning?
son of the morning?
How art thou cut down to the ground?
How art thou cut down to the ground? And stop there. Why is he being called the son of the morning? What is the son of the morning? The first light of the morning. What brings about the first light of the morning? The sun. Keep reading.
That didst weaken the nations. For thou hast said in thy heart, I will ascend into Shemaim.
Stop right there. Thou hast said in thy heart, I will what?
Ascend to Shemaim.
Ascend into Shemaim.
I will exalt my throne above the throne of Yahuah.
Okay, I will what? Exalt my throne above what?
The stars of Yahuah.
That's what I want you to see. He said, I will exalt my throne above what?
The stars of Yahuah.
The stars of Yahuah. Stop right there. Let's think for a minute. Let's go back to science a little bit. Is the sun a planet? What is it? It's a star. What star is exalted above all the other stars in heaven? The sun. Go ahead, Aki. I'm going somewhere with this.
I will sit also upon the mount of the congregation, in the sides of the north. I will ascend above the heights of the clouds. I will be like the Most High.
I will ascend above the heights of the clouds, and I will be what?
Like the Most High.
Like the Most High.
Yet thou shalt be brought down to hell, to the sides of the pit.
Stop right there. He said, I exalt my throne above all the heaven, all the stars in heaven. When we go back to Revelation, the 12th chapter, this is how Shaitan deceives the whole world. Do y'all know that the origin of every religion is sun worship? You ever notice when we were in that other institution, what day did we go worship? S-O-N-D or S-U-N-D? What was our biggest tradition or celebration during that time? Christmas. Christmas is on what day? December 25th. Why December 25th?
Solstice.
Are y'all familiar with the winter solstice?
Yes.
On the 22nd going into the 23rd, the sun goes to its most southernest point. And the days are short. That's the shortest days of the year. From the 22nd to the 23rd, 24th, 25th, 3 days later, it goes to its most northernest point. Which is called what? The solstice, the Romans called it what? The rebirth of the sun. And it said Jesus died on a Friday. He was raised 3 days later on a Sunday. Every religion origins go back to sun worship. Every one of them. And this is how Shaitan deceives the whole world. That's why the nation of Yashra'al is set apart. We were now even allowed to look at the firmament in that manner. He told us not to even do it. This is how Shaitan deceives the whole world. So what you have here, you have Lucifer, who was what? Cast out of what? Shemaim. When he was cast out of Shemaim, where did he dwell? On earth. So at that time, while he dwelled on earth, when we go back to Bereshit, let's go back to Bereshit, the first chapter, the first through the third verse. I bet you're like, where is he going with this? You'll see how all that ties in. So we was talking about the Edenic covenant.
Right.
Yes.
In the beginning, Elohim created the heaven and the earth.
He created the heaven and the earth.
And the earth was without form and void.
It was without form and void.
And darkness was upon the face of the deep.
Darkness was upon the face of the deep.
And the spirit of Elohim moved upon upon the face of the waters.
Stop right there. When we look at this, you see the condition of the earth. We see the scriptures and everything that Most High created, it was good. So when we go back and look at this, it said the earth was what? Without form. We get the word Tahu from the Strong's 84:14. It's from an unused root meaning to lie waste, a desolation of surface, to lie in desert, a worthless thing, and use that verbally to mean in vain. So do you think the Most High would have created anything in that condition, in all his perfection? So when we go back to void, we get the word bohu. From the Hebrew in your Strong, it would be 922. It means to be empty, vacuity, or vacant, or empty, undistinguishable, in ruin. So, how do you think the earth got in this condition?
Shaitan was cast out.
Because Shaitan had dominion over the earth at that time. That's the importance of the Adamic covenant. You're going to see something what? Something is taken from Shaitan in one condition. Yahuah he subdues the serpent, he removes that from the serpent, and he places it where? Say it again.
Side of the pit.
Say,
Pit, side of the pit.
well, no, he replaces what he takes from Shaitan, dominion over the earth, and he does what with it?
He gives it out.
He gives it to man. He gives it to Adam. This is what brings about the Adamic covenant. That's why it was in ruin or in waste. That's why we're reading about Shaitan over in Revelation 14. You see he was cast down. But when he was cast down, something took place with the earth. It was in ruins when he got here. But the Most High, he removed it from Shaitan. Now he gives dominion to man.
It was in ruin when who got it?
When Shaitan was cast out.
Right, okay, but what you just said makes okay.
Okay, I'm sorry. Yeah, when Shaitan was cast out to the earth, down to the earth,
He did ruin.
he brought ruin upon the earth.
Okay.
And so but when the Most High removes it from Shaitan, now he gives Adam dominion over the earth. What happens to the earth then? It begins to bring forth what? Fruit, vegetation, prosperity. It's in a beautiful state. And not only that, he places Adam in a position where, while he's in that, on the earth, in the place of prosperity and all, you know, Adam doesn't work for anything. He was just to oversee the garden. You ever notice, you never hear about Adam doing any kind of shepherd work or any kind of farming or anything in the garden? Because it was in a perfect state. It was to yield for him. Because of obedience, everything was given to him, placed right in his lap, so to speak. But what happened as soon as they were disobedient? It was taken away from them. Remember we said these covenants, some of them were conditional? The covenant that he made with Adam was conditional. So when he's exiled out of the garden, guess what? When the earth used to yield and produce for you, now you're going to work, what? Work by the sweat of your brow, and you're going to till the earth so that it'll bring forth. Now you're going to work for it. So we see how, when we get to the Adamic covenant, how it was a conditional covenant. We see something that was transferred from Shaitan to Adam. And this is what this covenant is about. So when we look at the serpent, let's stay with the Adamic covenant. Because of him beguiling man, there were three provisions concerning that particular covenant. First, what happens to the servant of Shaitan? Remember his place when he was what? In Shemayim. Was he not set above all the other Malachims? He was the most beautiful out of all the Malachims. So what happened when he beguiles man? Say it again. He was cursed. And not only was he cursed, he was cursed above all the other creatures in the kingdom. Okay, now he said, now all creatures now fall under what? A curse. But there's a special curse upon this one member of the kingdom. It's a norm that animal is not held morally responsible for its action. However, if it causes any harm to man, then it is held responsible. Somebody get Genesis 9:5. Bereshit 9:5.
Bereshit 9, verse 5. And surely your blood of your lives will I will require. At the hand of every beast will I require it. And at the hand of man, for man, and the hand of every man's brother will I require the life of man.
Y'all see that? So can animals be held responsible? Read that again.
Bereshit chapter 9, verse 5. And surely your blood of your lives
The blood of your what?
lives
Will I require.
will I require. At the hand of every beast will I require. And at the hand of man, at the hand of every man's brother will I require the life of man.
Okay then, so if another man sheds the blood of his brother, what's required? His blood. His life. Did he not say every man, every beast? So we can see what was the condition. Was not Shaitan here responsible? That's why he was cursed above all the other beasts or creatures in the animal kingdom. Okay then.
Sorry. So, but now you're saying, but we just read in Isaiah that we're talking about Shaitan as a man, but now you're just connecting it as a beast, connecting as a beast.
Right, because when we look at the nation of Yashra'al, when the Most High speaks of the beasts of the field, what is he talking about?
Beast of the field.
The nation is considered beasts of the field.
The people.
The people. But in the literal, he's showing you, it's kind of like he's making a comparison with Shaitan and with compared to the animal kingdom. Now, in the natural, when it comes to the law, if an animal or something takes the life of a being, it would be put to death. So, metaphorically, compare Shaitan to a creature or whatever, he's still showing you that he's held responsible. So let's say when it comes to the nation of Yashra'al, would the nations be responsible, held responsible for what they do to Yashra'al? They most certainly would. This is what the whole scripture is about. What the nations have done to Yashra'al. That's why he said he's going to make a covenant with the beasts of the field. And I think that's a lesson we did when we were talking about the beasts of the field, and we went back to the Hebrew and showed where he was talking about the beasts of the field, and we knew it was talking about man because we got the Hebrew word ka, which means life. I can't remember. You remember what lesson we did? When we were talking about that?
That's a long time.
Yeah, it's a long time ago.
I still might know what you're talking about, but I just have to think about it.
And so this is what we're seeing now. Seeing here. So when we see these things, we see that every participant within the covenant was held accountable. So when we see the Adamic covenant, it was conditional. So the serpent was cursed. Secondly, the serpent was what? Now, or the man is now what? Crawling on what? His belly. So now he's humbled or humiliated. He's been brought down because what was his stature in Shemayim? He was above all. So now, once he's been cast down, he's been given dominion over the earth. That dominion has been taken from him. Now he has entered into a set-apart place in the presence of a set-apart people and have what? Beguiled them or transferred sin. We know he transferred sin because sin was found in who? It was found in him. So, because of his cunningness and because he beguiled men, we said he was cursed above all the other beasts of the field or in the kingdom. Secondly, the serpent is now what? Crawling on his belly. He has lost his position. And that's why, do y'all not know why we struggle so much and the attack is on us so much? Especially Judah. What was Satan's position in Shemayim? He was on the praise and he was a worshiper. What does Yahuah mean? It means to praise Yahuah. So you have three particular Malachims that stand out the most when we read scripture. You have one who is called Micah. Micah was what? The messenger angel or the word. You have another one called Gabriel. Gabriel was what? A fighter or a what? He was the leader of the host of Shemayim. Whenever they went to war, he was a warrior. So you yet have the word of the messenger angel. You yet have the warrior angel. What was missing out of the three? The worshiper. That's why Yahuah means praise. That's why we are such under attack by Shemayim. Somebody replaced him. The Most High took what was on him and placed it on a certain group of people. That's why worldwide, who can play an instrument any better than us? Who sings any better than us? What one group of people do everybody in the world emulates? Us. When it comes to singing, dancing, musicianship, any of it. It's us. That's why Shaitan, he really attacks Yahuah. More so than anybody. That's a constant attack on us. Because what was once on him, the Most High placed it on us. And don't think he doesn't covet his position back. Don't think he doesn't covet it. So this is what's going on. Okay. He lost his position. And the third, what he said? The dust of the earth shall be what? His food. The dust should be his food. But we know what? We know reptiles do not eat dust. But this would just show you that his curse would be more so than any of all the other beasts of the field. He would be especially cursed. When you see the word eat the dust of the earth, you remember what we was talking about? I often say when it comes to the learning the scripture and understanding the scripture, you have to be in tune with what? The language of the Hebrews, the culture and the customs of the Hebrews, and Hebrew idioms. To eat the dust of the earth is a Hebrew idiom which means to be especially cursed more than the others. It simply means that. Y'all might want to write that down. Okay, then when we look at Bereshit 3 and 15, let's look there right quick. But question, Genesis, I'm sorry. Y'all stop me when I say that, no. Help me to say the English. Okay then, Genesis 3:15, Bereshit 3:15. One reason why we say the Hebrew, and I like, if I don't say the English pronunciation of it, just get my attention, because the easiest way to learn it is we say it in English and Hebrew. So Genesis 3:15, Bereshit 3:15. Go ask Rob to get that for us.
Genesis 3, verse 15. And I will put enmity between you and the woman, and between your seed and her seed. It shall bruise your head, and you shall bruise his heel. And it shall bruise his heel. And to the woman he said, I will greatly multiply your sorrows and your conception. In sorrow you shall bring forth children, and your desire shall be to your husband, and he shall rule over you. And unto Adam he said, because you hast hearkened unto the voice of your wife, and hast eaten of the tree of which I command you, saying, you shall not eat of it. Cursed is the ground for your sake. In sorrow shall you eat of it all the days of your life. Thorns also and thistles shall it bring forth to you, and you shall eat it. The herb of the field, in the sweat of your face shall you eat bread till you return unto the ground. For out of it was you taken, for dust you are, and unto dust shall you return. And Adam called his wife's name Eve, because she was the mother of all living. Until Adam also, and to his wife.
They are here.
We good?
Is all that in the 15th verse?
No. Oh, you just want me to read that?
Yeah, I just want to read 15. But you good, look, we're going to cover it all.
Okay.
So, when you look at this, 4 provisions are given in relationship to Shaitan. Let's look at that. First, there will be a perpetual what between Shaitan and the woman? Hatred. A perpetual hatred between Shaitan and the woman. And very important in this second relationship, we see that this hatred was to culminate between who? Shaitan's seed and what? Okay, between Shaitan's seed, and we're just going to read how it's written in the scripture. From Shaitan's seed to who? And the woman's seed. That's very important. This is the only time in scripture where you hear something about the woman's seed. Very important. So, does anybody know who this woman is?
So now, can we go to exactly as you said, like the woman?
So does the woman
It
represent
represents
Yashra'al?
Yashra'al.
Yeah, the woman represents Yashra'al.
So we want to know who this woman is.
Yeah. So when we go back, let's go, okay. Remember he said now, what did he just say? It said the hatred was to culminate between Shaitan's seed and the woman's seed.
Right.
So when we go back over to Hegel or Revelation, the 12th chapter, let's go back there again.
And there appeared a great wonder in heaven.
There appeared a great wonder in Shemayim, or heaven.
A woman clothed with the sun,
A woman clothed with the sun,
and the moon under her feet.
and the moon under her feet,
And upon her head a crown of 12 stars.
and upon her head a crown of what?
12 stars.
12 stars. The sun, the moon, 12 stars. What's going on right now? Yeah.
12 stars, 12 by sun, and Mashiyach.
So all of these things here we're to read about, they point to one thing. The Moed, or the Moedim. Sun, moon, stars.